What's going on, everyone? I'm Gio with Carvalho Creations, and as always, welcome back to my channel. On this week's episode, we're going to be doing a tutorial where I take you step by step in the process I use to refinish furniture like this. So without further ado, let's get building. Alright, so before we even get started with the build today, a lot of times when you buy things secondhand or yard sale, or maybe you found a piece, you run into a lot of issues, and I want to show one of those issues to you now. And what it is basically in this piece is we have these metal tracks that the drawers run on, and they're glued down a lot of times haphazardly and cheaply done. So what I'm going to be doing is taking this, re-gluing it in place, and screwing it down so those tracks will be brand new. Alright guys, now that we just finished taking the hardware off our piece and sanding it down, the next step is going to be painting. And today for the base coat, I'm using this Valspar 2000, and this is the color is Country Whitewash. I always use a flat base paint. It dries really quick and it has a more authentic feel for what I'm going for. So I'm going to do 2 coats, get this all covered up, and then we'll move on to the next step. Alright, for our next step, what we're going to be doing is taking some of this black Valspar paint, we're going to thin it down with a little bit of water, and I'm going to brush this into all the grooves of the wood. Now what that's going to do is going to make the rest of the exposed wood pop a little bit more. Okay, just a quick tip before I go on any further. When you guys are doing the wash with this thin down paint, you want to make sure that you do the entire thing in one pass, one section at a time. That way you get an even coating over the entire thing. So what ends up happening if you do it in sections, you'll see definite stops and starts of where you started painting. Keep that in mind when you do your own projects. Alright, so now that our wash is nice and dry, what we're going to do is we're going to take some of that original base coat color and we're going to highlight everything on this piece. Let me show you. So I dip a little bit, and it's basically a dry brushing, but I'm using a rag to rub this in. And I'm just going to lightly go over the edges. And immediately you can see what it does to the piece itself. Reload your brush when you need, make sure you wipe it off to get the excess off. And you can do this as much or as little as you like. It's really personal preference at this point. Alright, so we just finished doing the highlighting of the dresser with our base coat color. And now for the last step, we're going to seal this piece with this Minwax finishing paste. And I'm using a special dark color. They do have it in natural if you want to go that route, but for this piece, I want to kind of yellow a little bit of that white color. So we're going to be using this special dark. Okay, so we just finished adding the wax to our piece. Now that's all done and it gave it a nice little yellow tinge to the white. So the next step is we're going to re-add the hardware, put the drawers back in. I'm going to do a wood top off of camera. If you guys want to see how I do that, I have plenty of videos where you can check that out. So let's get right to it. Alright, so we're down to the last step of the day, and basically what we're going to do is just add some of this stain to the top of this wood surface. And for this, I'm going to be using a dark walnut color. It's going to give this a nice, rich, dark feel. We're going to finish off the piece and it'll look beautiful. Alright guys, this concludes our build for today. I hope you guys liked the video. I wanted to give a special thanks to Monica and April for following us on Instagram and TikTok. Thank you so much for the support. And until next week, keep building things, stay creative, and don't forget to go wild with it. I'm Gio from Carvalho Creations, and I'll see you later.